I caught my husband cheating with my sister, then found out I was pregnant. I need to get this off my chest because I'm losing my mind here. I'm Emma, 29F, and this is about my sister Chloe, 26F. We used to be incredibly close growing up. Like, people would mistake us for twins, even though she's 3 years younger. We shared everything. Clothes, friends, secrets, you name it. I was the maid of honor at her first wedding when she was 22, and she always said she'd return the favor when my time came. But something changed after my husband Jake and I got married 2 years ago. At first, I thought Chloe was just going through a rough patch with her divorce and was maybe a little jealous that things were working out for me. Her first marriage had been a disaster. Her ex-husband Mark was controlling and honestly kind of a creep. The whole family was relieved when she finally left him after catching him going through her phone and tracking her every move. Jake and I met at work. He's in IT and I'm in marketing at the same company. He's this quiet, thoughtful guy who makes me laugh without even trying. Not the type you'd expect to cause drama, you know? He's got these warm brown eyes and a way of listening that makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. We dated for 3 years before getting married, and everyone loved him. Even my dad, who usually hates every guy I bring home, would invite Jake to watch football and fix things around the house. The first red flag should have been at our wedding. Chloe gave this speech as my maid of honor, and while everyone else was crying happy tears, something felt off. She kept making these weird comments about how some people get lucky in love and not everyone can have what Emma has. At the time, I chalked it up to her still being bitter about her divorce, but looking back, there was this edge to her voice that I should have picked up on. After the wedding, Chloe started coming around our house a lot more. Like, a lot more. She'd show up unannounced on weeknights, stay for dinner, and hang around until like 10 p.m., even when Jake and I clearly wanted some alone time. She'd always have some excuse. She was lonely, her apartment was getting fumigated, she missed hanging out with me. And honestly, I felt bad for her. She'd been through hell with Mark, and I wanted to be a supportive sister. But then she started doing these little things that bugged me. She'd wear my clothes without asking and forget to give them back. She'd rearrange things in my kitchen when she was over, claiming she was just trying to help. She started bringing up inside jokes and memories that only Jake and I shared, like she'd been there too. When I'd ask her about it, she'd laugh and say, I must have told her, but I knew I hadn't. The worst part was how she acted around Jake. She'd touch his arm when she laughed at his jokes, sit way too close to him on the couch, and ask him for help with things she could easily do herself. Jake, can you help me move my dresser? Jake, my car is making this weird noise. Can you take a look? Jake, you're so good with computers. Can you fix my laptop? I tried talking to Jake about it, but he just said Chloe was being friendly and that I was reading too much into it. She's your sister, Em. She's just being nice. You know I only have eyes for you. And I believed him, because why wouldn't I? He'd never given me a reason not to trust him. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday in March, about 8 months ago. I was supposed to work late finishing up a presentation for Monday, but my boss let me leave early since we'd hit our deadline ahead of schedule. I was excited to surprise Jake with his favorite takeout and maybe watch a movie together. I pulled into our driveway around 6 p.m. and noticed Chloe's car was there, which wasn't totally unusual. She'd been coming over more frequently to help me plan my birthday party that was still 2 months away. I grabbed the food and my keys, thinking about how nice it would be to have dinner with both of them. I opened the front door and called out, "Honey, I'm home! I brought Chinese!" But nobody answered. The house was quiet except for the sound of the TV in the living room. I figured they were just absorbed in whatever they were watching. I walked toward the living room, bags of food in hand, ready to surprise them. But I was the one who got surprised. They were on the couch. My couch. Chloe was sitting in Jake's lap, facing him, her hands in his hair. They were kissing. Not like a friendly peck or anything you could misinterpret. They were making out like teenagers, completely lost in each other. I stood there for what felt like forever, but was probably only a few seconds, the bags of Chinese food slowly slipping from my hands onto the floor. Sweet and sour sauce splattered everywhere. But I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Jake saw me first. His eyes went wide and he practically shoved Chloe off his lap. "Emma! Oh God, Emma! We weren't." But Chloe looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Not guilty, not sorry. Almost like she'd been caught doing something she knew was wrong, but wasn't actually ashamed of. Like a kid with their hand in the cookie jar who's more annoyed about getting caught than sorry for taking the cookies. "Em," she said, smoothing down her hair. "We need to talk." Need to talk? That's what you say when you've borrowed someone's car without asking, not when you've been making out with their husband. What the hell is going on? I finally managed to say. My voice came out all shaky and weird, like I was talking through water. Jake stood up, running his hands through his hair, the same hair Chloe had just been running her hands through. "Emma, please, let me explain. This isn't what it looks like." "Really?" I said. And I could hear my voice getting louder, because it looks like my sister and my husband were making out on my couch in my living room while I was at work. Chloe stood up then, and she had the audacity to look annoyed with me. "Emma, calm down. You're being dramatic." Dramatic? Dramatic? I had just walked in on my husband cheating on me with my own sister, and I was being dramatic? "How long?" I asked. "How long has this been going on?" They looked at each other, and in that look, I saw everything I needed to know. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was something that had been building, something they'd both been a part of, something they'd been hiding from me while I made dinner for 3 and bought Christmas presents and planned family gatherings. "A few months," Jake said quietly, not meeting my eyes. "A few months." While I'd been worried about Chloe's mental health after her divorce, while I'd been encouraging Jake to be patient with her and include her in our plans, while I'd been the supportive wife and loving sister, they'd been sneaking around behind my back. "Since when?" I pressed. I don't know why I needed the details, but I did. "Since January," Chloe said, and there was still that defiant tone in her voice, like she was daring me to be upset about it. January. My birthday month. The month she'd started coming over to plan my party. The month she'd started asking Jake for all those favors. The month she'd started acting weird and possessive and touching him too much. I felt like I was going to throw up. "I need you both to leave," I said. "Emma, please," Jake said, stepping toward me. "We can work through this. It doesn't have to mean anything." Doesn't have to mean anything? He was in love with my sister for months, and it didn't have to mean anything? "Get out!" I screamed. "Both of you, get out of my house right now." Jake grabbed his keys and wallet from the coffee table. The same coffee table where we'd eaten countless dinners together, where we'd planned our future, where we talked about maybe starting a family someday. Chloe gathered her purse and coat like she was leaving any normal family dinner. At the door, she turned back to me. "Em, when you're ready to talk about this like adults, call me. I'm your sister and I love you, but you can't expect me to put your marriage before my own happiness." And then they were gone, leaving me alone in a house that suddenly felt like it belonged to strangers. With sweet and sour sauce drying on my hardwood floors and my entire world turned upside down. I spent that entire weekend in a complete daze. I called in sick to work Monday because I couldn't function. I kept replaying everything in my head. Every time Chloe had come over, every time she'd touched Jake's arm, every inside joke she somehow knew. How could I have been so blind? Jake had been texting me nonstop since Friday night. "Please talk to me. I love you, not her. It was a mistake? We can get through this." I couldn't even read them without feeling sick, so I just turned my phone off. But the worst part, my mom kept calling. Chloe had already gotten to her, spinning some story about how I'd overreacted to something innocent and now wasn't speaking to either of them. When I finally answered on Tuesday, Mom's first words were, "Emma, honey, Chloe told me you two had a fight. Don't you think you're being a little harsh? She's your sister." "Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "did she tell you what the fight was about?" "Something about Jake." "Honey, you know Chloe would never do anything to hurt you. She's been through so much with her divorce. Maybe you misunderstood something?" misunderstood. Like, I'd misunderstood my husband's tongue down my sister's throat. I couldn't even explain it to her. How do you tell your mother that one daughter is sleeping with the other daughter's husband? How do you say those words out loud? I need some space right now, Mom. From everyone. But Emma, your father's 60th birthday is next month. Surely you won't miss that because of some silly misunderstanding? Silly misunderstanding. That's what my marriage falling apart was to them. After I hung up, I realized I needed to know the truth. All of it. Because something Chloe had said kept bothering me. You can't expect me to put your marriage before my own happiness. Like she'd been thinking about this for a long time. Like this was some grand plan, like not just a few months of fooling around. I started going through Jake's things. I know. Snooping through your spouse's stuff is a violation of privacy. But finding them making out was a pretty big violation too, so I figured we were past worrying about boundaries. His laptop was password protected, but I knew Jake. He used the same password for everything. Our wedding date followed by our initials. So romantic, right? Well, it made hacking into his computer pretty easy. His browser history was educational. Lots of how to tell your wife you're in love with someone else and signs your marriage is over searches going back to December. A full month before Chloe said anything started. But then I found his messages. Jake wasn't just texting Chloe. He was texting her constantly. Good morning texts, good night texts, random thoughts throughout the day. Things he used to send to me. I scrolled back through months of messages, and it was like watching my marriage die in real time. December 15th, Jake, M's working late again. Want to come over for dinner? Is that a good idea? She won't mind. She loves having you around. December 20th, I keep thinking about what you said yesterday. About what? About how we understand each other. We do. Sometimes I feel like you get me better than M does. January 3rd, I can't stop thinking about you. Jake, I know this is wrong, but I think I'm falling for you. I've been waiting for you to say that. Waiting. She'd been waiting. This wasn't some accidental thing that just happened. Chloe had been planning this. I kept scrolling, feeling sicker with every message. January 8th. Chloe, when are you going to tell her? I don't know. She loves you so much. This will destroy her. She'll get over it. Emma's stronger than you think. What if she doesn't? Then that's her problem, not ours. Her problem. My husband leaving me for my sister would be my problem. January 15th. Jake, I told her I was working late. Can you meet me at the Marriott? Room 412. I'll be waiting. They'd been meeting at hotels. While I was home making dinner, thinking Jake was working overtime to save up for the vacation we'd planned for our anniversary. February 2nd. I think she's getting suspicious. She asked me why I've been coming over so much. What did you tell her? That I'm helping plan her birthday party. She bought it. God, I feel terrible. No, you don't. If you felt terrible, you'd stop. You're right. I can't stop. I think I love you. February 14th, Valentine's Day. I got M flowers, but all I can think about is you. Good. Keep playing the devoted husband until we figure out our next move. Our next move? We can't keep sneaking around forever. Eventually, you're going to have to choose. February 20th. I've been thinking about what our life could be like. What do you mean? This house is perfect for a family. Emma always said she wanted kids here. Chloe, I'm just saying, I could make you happier than she does. I could give you everything she can't. Everything she can't? What did that even mean? But the messages that really broke me were from just a few weeks ago. March 5th. She's been talking about wanting to start a family. I know. She brought it up again last night. What did you tell her? That we should wait until after her promotion comes through. Bought us some time. Smart. The last thing we need is a baby complicating things. I hate lying to her face every day. It'll be over soon. I promise. March 12th. Jake. She made my favorite dinner tonight. Kept talking about how excited she is for us to grow old together. That must have been hard to hear. It was. But then I thought about you and how right this feels. We belong together, Jake. Emma will understand eventually. Will she, though? I feel like this is going to destroy her. Emma's tougher than you think. She'll bounce back. She always does. Always does? What did that mean? March 15th, the day before I caught them. Chloe, I can't keep pretending to be the supportive sister much longer. What do you mean? Yesterday, she was showing me pictures of nursery ideas on Pinterest. It made me sick. Nursery ideas? She's planning your whole future together, Jake. Kids, growing old, the whole fairy tale. Meanwhile, you're in love with me. I know. God, I know. Oh, we need to end this charade soon. I'm thinking after her dad's birthday party next month. We can tell the family together. Together? We're going to be together anyway. Might as well face the music as a united front. A united front. They were planning to announce their relationship to my family like it was some kind of celebration. I sat there staring at that last message for a long time. The day before I caught them, they were making plans for their future together. They were going to let me keep planning nurseries and dreaming about growing old with Jake while they counted down the days until they could destroy my life publicly. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely scroll anymore. But there was one more message thread I hadn't seen yet, from just 2 hours after I'd caught them. March 16th, 8 p.m. Chloe, well, that didn't go as planned. She looked so broken. God, Chloe, what have we done? What we had to do, rip the Band-Aid off. This isn't how I wanted her to find out. There was never going to be a good way, babe. At least now it's out in the open. She threw us out. She won't even talk to me. Give her time. Emma's dramatic, but she'll come around. What if she doesn't? What if I've lost her forever? Jake, focus. You chose me, remember? Emma's your past, I'm your future. 2 hours after destroying my world, Chloe was already coaching Jake on how to move on from me. I closed the laptop and just sat there in the silence of what used to be our home office. The room where Jake had planned surprise vacations for me, where we'd video called his parents every Sunday, where I'd helped him practice presentations for work. Now it felt like a crime scene. My phone buzzed, a text from my mom. Honey, I'm worried about you. Chloe says you haven't been returning her calls. Whatever happened, family is family. Please don't let pride ruin your relationship with your sister. Pride. She thought this was about pride. I was about to turn my phone off again when I noticed something. I'd been so focused on reading Jake's messages that I hadn't been paying attention to anything else. But right there on the screen was a notification I'd missed. My period tracking app. Your period is 4 days late. 4 days. In all the chaos, I'd completely forgotten to pay attention to my cycle. Jake and I had been trying to have a baby for the past 3 months. We'd been so careful about timing, tracking everything, hoping every month that this would be it. I sat there staring at that notification, my heart pounding. Could I be pregnant? Right now, in the middle of the worst week of my life, could I actually be carrying Jake's baby? I drove to the pharmacy in my pajamas and bought 3 different pregnancy tests. All positive. I was pregnant with Jake's child, and he was in love with my sister. I sat on my bathroom floor staring at those little pink lines, and I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After months of trying, after hoping and praying and timing everything perfectly, I was finally pregnant. And my husband wasn't here to celebrate with me because he was too busy planning his future with Chloe. My phone started ringing. Jake's name on the screen. For the first time in days, I answered. Emma? Oh, thank God, I've been trying to reach you. Please, can we talk? I know I messed up, but I love you and I want to fix this. Jake, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I'm pregnant. The silence on the other end lasted forever. What did you say? I'm pregnant. We're gonna have a baby. You know, that thing we've been trying for? Well, congratulations. You're gonna be a father. More silence. I could practically hear him trying to process this information. Emma, are you sure? Have you taken a test? 3 tests. All positive. So yes, Jake, I'm sure. Oh my God, Emma, this changes everything. This changes everything. Where are you? I'm coming home right now. No, I said firmly. You're not coming home. This isn't your home anymore. Emma, please. You're carrying my baby. We're going to be parents. We can work through this. We. There is no we anymore, Jake. You made that choice when you decided you were in love with my sister. That's not... Emma, I made a mistake, a horrible, stupid mistake. But this baby, our baby, this is what matters now. I could hear the desperation in his voice, and part of me wanted to believe him. Part of me wanted to pretend that a positive pregnancy test could somehow erase months of betrayal and lies. Tell me something, Jake. When you were with Chloe at that hotel in January, were you thinking about our future together? When you were kissing her on our couch, were you thinking about the family we were trying to start? Emma. No, don't Emma me. I read your messages. All of them. I know about your plans to tell the family after Dad's birthday party. I know you were going to let me keep dreaming about nurseries and baby names while you counted down the days until you could destroy my life in front of everyone I love. You read our... Emma, it wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Jake? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you and my sister spent months planning how to break my heart as efficiently as possible. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did it anyway. Every single day for months. You looked me in the eye and lied to me. You let me make your favorite dinner while you texted her. You held me while I cried about not getting pregnant yet, knowing you were planning to leave me anyway. I could hear him crying now, which should have made me feel something. But I just felt empty. Emma, please. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but this baby, our baby deserves to have both parents. You're right, I said. This baby does deserve both parents. Too bad you decided you'd rather be with my sister. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer. My lawyer, Sarah, was amazing. She didn't ask too many questions, just told me to document everything and stay strong. But the legal stuff could wait. I had bigger problems to deal with first, like the fact that my dad's 60th birthday party was in 2 weeks. And according to those text messages, Jake and Chloe were planning to announce their relationship there, in front of my entire family, while I was dealing with morning sickness and a broken heart. I needed to tell my parents the truth before Chloe could spin this into some story where I was the villain. So on Thursday morning, I drove to my parents' house. Mom was in the garden, and Dad was in the garage tinkering with his old Mustang like always. Emma? Mom dropped her watering can and rushed over. Sweetheart, I'm so glad you're here. I've been so worried about this fight between you and Chloe. Mom, we need to talk. All of us. Can you get Dad? Something in my voice must have scared her, because she didn't argue. 5 minutes later, we were all sitting in their living room. The same room where Jake had asked Dad for permission to marry me, where we'd opened Christmas presents as kids, where Chloe had cried about her divorce. Mom, Dad, I started, my hands shaking slightly. I need to tell you something about Chloe and Jake. Oh, honey, Mom said, reaching for my hand. Whatever happened, I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. Chloe loves you so much. Mom, please just listen. I took a deep breath. I caught Jake and Chloe together. They're having an affair. The silence that followed was deafening. Dad's face went completely blank. Mom just stared at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. What do you mean together? Dad finally asked, his voice very quiet. I mean, I came home Friday night and found them making out on my couch. They've been sneaking around for months. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. Emma, are you sure? Maybe it looked worse than it was. Mom, I read their text messages. They've been meeting at hotels. They were planning to tell you at Dad's birthday party. They've been lying to all of us for months. Dad stood up and started pacing, which is what he does when he's really angry. That son of a... He caught himself and looked at me. Emma, I'm so sorry. What can we do? Do you want me to talk to Jake? There's more, I said quietly. I'm pregnant. Mom gasped. Dad stopped pacing and just stared at me. Pregnant? Emma, that's... When did you find out? This week. Jake and I have been trying for months, and now I started crying, which I hadn't planned to do. Now I'm having a baby with a man who's in love with my sister. Mom was crying too now, and Dad looked like he wanted to punch something. Where is he? Dad asked. Where's Jake right now? I don't know. I kicked him out. He's been staying somewhere else. Good, Dad said firmly. And Chloe? I haven't talked to her since it happened. But Dad, there's something else you need to know. This isn't the first time. Both my parents looked confused. What do you mean? Mom asked. I've been thinking about it all week, and I remembered some things. remember when Chloe was dating Ryan in college? My friend Ryan, who I introduced her to? Mom nodded slowly. And remember how she suddenly became really close with David when I was dating him senior year? How she would always find reasons to hang out with him when I wasn't around? Dad's face was getting darker. Are you saying? I think Chloe has a pattern. I think she goes after guys I'm involved with. I just never put it together before because I trusted her. Mom was shaking her head. No. Emma, you're upset right now. You're seeing things that aren't there. Chloe would never. Mom, she literally told Jake that I would get over it, and it was my problem to deal with. I read that in their messages. She called me dramatic. She's been manipulating this whole situation for months. The front door opened and we all froze, footsteps in the hallway. Mom? Dad? I saw Emma's car outside. Chloe walked into the living room, all smiles, like nothing had happened. She looked exactly the same. Blonde hair perfectly styled, makeup done, wearing one of those flowy dresses that somehow made her look innocent and put together at the same time. Oh good, you're all here, she said brightly. Emma, I'm so glad you came. We really need to clear the air about this whole misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. There was that word again. It's not a misunderstanding, Chloe, I said, standing up. I know about everything. The hotels, the messages, all of it. For just a split second, her mask slipped. I saw something cold and calculating flash across her face. But then she was back to playing the victim. Emma, you're clearly very upset, and I understand that. But you're blowing this way out of proportion. Jake and I are friends. We've gotten close because we both care about you so much. Friends don't make out on each other's couches, Chloe. That was. She looked around at our parents who were watching this like a tennis match. That was a mistake. A moment of weakness. Jake was telling me how worried he was about you working so much, and we were both emotional, and it just happened. It didn't mean anything. The lie came so easily, so smoothly. She was good at this. Then explain the hotel receipts, I said. Explain the months of secret messages. Explain telling him that I was your problem to deal with. Now she looked genuinely surprised. You went through his phone? I went through everything, Chloe. I know about your plans to announce your relationship at Dad's birthday party. I know about you telling Jake he could make you happier than I could make him. I know about you calling me dramatic and saying I'd bounce back because I always do. Dad stepped between us. Is this true, Chloe? She looked at him with those big blue eyes that had gotten her out of trouble since she was 5 years old. Daddy, you know Emma. She's always been jealous of me. Remember in high school when she accused me of flirting with her boyfriend at prom? That's because you were flirting with him, I exploded. And then you convinced me I was being paranoid, just like you're doing now. Emma, calm down, Mom said. This isn't good for the baby. Chloe's head snapped up. Baby? What baby? I'm pregnant, Chloe, with Jake's baby. You know, the man you're in love with? I watched her face carefully, looking for her reaction. What I saw wasn't what I expected. She didn't look guilty or ashamed. She looked angry, really, really angry. You're pregnant? She said, and her voice had lost all its sweetness. Are you kidding me right now? Chloe, Mom gasped, but Chloe wasn't done. This is just perfect. This is exactly what you always do, Emma. The second I find a little bit of happiness, you have to make it all about you. Make it about me? Chloe, you're sleeping with my husband. Because he chose me. He chose me over you, and now you can't stand it, so you're playing the pregnancy card to get him back. The room went dead silent. Even Chloe seemed to realize she'd said too much. So you admit it, Dad said quietly. You admit you've been having an affair with your sister's husband. Chloe looked around at all of us, and I could see her calculating, trying to figure out how to spin this. But it was too late. The mask was completely off now. Fine, she said, lifting her chin defiantly. Yes, Jake and I are together. And you know what? We're happy. We're really, genuinely happy in a way that he never was with Emma. Mom started crying harder. Jake loves me, Chloe continued. He told me so. He said he felt more alive with me in 3 months than he had in 3 years of marriage. He said I understood him in ways Emma never could. Every word was like a knife, but I forced myself to stay standing, to not give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. And now, she said, looking directly at me, now you think you can trap him with a baby? You think that's gonna make him love you again? It won't work, Emma. He's mine now. Get out, Dad said quietly. What? I said get out. Get out of my house right now. Daddy, you don't understand. Emma's been manipulating this whole situation. Get out, Dad roared, louder than I'd ever heard him yell. Get out of my house and don't come back until you're ready to apologize to your sister and take responsibility for what you've done. Chloe looked shocked. In our entire lives, Dad had never yelled at her like that. She was always his little princess, the one who could do no wrong. You're choosing her over me? She asked, her voice small and hurt now. After everything I've been through with Mark? After everything I've suffered? You made your choice when you decided to betray your sister, Dad said firmly. And yes, I'm choosing the daughter who didn't sleep with her sister's husband. Chloe looked at each of us. Dad, angry and disappointed. Mom, crying and heartbroken. Me, standing there trying not to fall apart. Then she grabbed her purse. Fine, she said. But when Jake chooses me, and he will choose me, don't expect me to come running back to this family. You'll all see. I'm the best thing that ever happened to him, and Emma never deserved him anyway. She slammed the door so hard the windows shook. We all just stood there for a minute, processing what had just happened. I'm sorry, Mom finally said, looking at me. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I should have listened to you from the beginning. It's okay, Mom. No, it's not okay. None of this is okay. She hugged me tight. But we're going to get through this. All of us, you and that baby, are going to be just fine. Dad came over and put his arms around both of us. Emma, I want you to know something. Whatever happens with Jake, whatever you decide to do, your mom and I are here for you. That baby is going to have the best grandparents in the world. I finally let myself cry, really cry, for my marriage, for my sister, for the family that would never be the same, and for the baby who was going to grow up in the middle of all this mess. But also, for the first time in a week, I felt like I wasn't completely alone. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. You ruined everything. See. I showed the message to my dad. He took the phone, deleted the message, and blocked the number. It is over, he said firmly. As far as this family is concerned, it's over. But I had a feeling it was just the beginning. The next few days were weirdly peaceful. I stayed at my parents' house, helping Mom plan Dad's birthday party and pretending everything was normal. Well, as normal as you can be when you're pregnant, getting divorced, and your sister is texting you death threats from different phone numbers. Dad had gotten the locks changed on my house and went to get some of my things. Jake had apparently been staying there, which explained why he kept calling from the landline. Dad said the place was a mess, dishes everywhere, beer bottles, pizza boxes. Not exactly the picture of a man who'd found true love. On Wednesday, I was helping Mom address birthday invitations when she stopped suddenly. Emma, honey, I need to tell you something. What's wrong? She set down her pen and looked uncomfortable. After what happened on Sunday, I called your Aunt Linda. Aunt Linda was my mom's sister who lived in Portland. She'd known Chloe and me since we were babies, but we didn't see her much anymore. I wanted to talk to someone about all this, and Linda, well, she said some things that I think you should know. My stomach dropped. What kind of things? Do you remember when Chloe spent that summer in Portland when she was 19? Right after her freshman year of college? I nodded. Chloe had said she wanted to experience life in a different city, maybe transfer schools. Well, according to Linda, Chloe didn't just randomly decide to visit. She was running away from something here. Running away from what? Mom looked really uncomfortable now. Linda said there was some kind of incident with a married man, a professor at her college. His wife found out about the affair and threatened to go to the administration. Chloe panicked and asked if she could stay in Portland until things died down. I felt sick. A married professor? That's not all. Linda said while Chloe was there, she got involved with Linda's neighbor, a man named Tom who was engaged to be married. The engagement ended, there was a big mess, and Linda asked Chloe to leave. I stared at Mom. So this is a pattern. This is what she does. It seems like it might be. Linda said she always wondered if she should have told us, but she didn't want to cause family drama. Family drama. If only she knew. There's more, Mom continued quietly. I called our old neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. Do you remember her? Of course I remembered Mrs. Patterson. She lived next door to us growing up and used to babysit us sometimes. I asked her about that summer when Chloe was 16, when she was supposedly helping with the Patterson's son's wedding planning. Oh God, I knew where this was going. Mrs. Patterson said Chloe had tried to seduce the groom. 3 weeks before the wedding, Len, the bride's family caught them kissing at the rehearsal dinner venue, and there was a huge fight. Mrs. Patterson said she never told us because she didn't want to believe it was true. I felt like I was going to throw up, and not from morning sickness. Mom, how many times has this happened? How many relationships has she destroyed? I don't know, sweetheart, but I'm starting to think this has been going on for a lot longer than any of us realized. My phone rang. Jake? Again. Don't answer it, Mom said. You don't have to talk to him until you're ready. But I was curious. I wanted to know what he could possibly say to make this better. Hello, Jake. Emma, thank God. Please don't hang up. I need to see you. We need to talk about the baby. What about the baby? I want to be involved. I want us to work this out. Emma, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I love you. I've always loved you. Funny, that's not what your text messages said. Those messages... Emma, I was confused. I was having some kind of midlife crisis or something. But finding out about the baby, it made me realize what's really important. The baby made you realize I'm important? Not the fact that we're married? Not the 3 years we spent building a life together? That's not what I meant. Emma, please, can I come see you? Can we just talk face to face? I looked at Mom, who was shaking her head vigorously. Where's Chloe, Jake? What? Where is she? Are you still with her? Silence. Long, telling silence. Jake, answer me. Are you still with my sister? It's complicated, Emma. No, it's really not complicated. It's a yes or no question. She's staying at my apartment right now. But Emma, it's not what you think. She had nowhere else to go after your dad kicked her out, and I hung up. He's still with her, I told Mom. Oh, honey. He wants to work things out for the baby, but he's still living with the woman he cheated on me with, and he thinks I'm stupid enough to believe that's gonna work. Mom hugged me. You're not stupid. You're just pregnant and heartbroken and dealing with more than anyone should have to deal with. That afternoon, I was taking a nap when Dad woke me up. Emma, there's someone here to see you. I went downstairs, expecting to see Jake. Instead, there was a woman I didn't recognize sitting in our living room. She was probably in her early 30s, with short brown hair and kind eyes. Emma, I'm Sarah Chen. I used to be married to Mark. Mark, Chloe's first husband. I'm sorry to bother you like this, but I heard through mutual friends that you and Chloe were having some kind of family issue, and I thought you might want to know the truth about why Mark and I really got divorced. I sat down slowly. I thought you and Mark got divorced because he was controlling. Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's what Chloe told people, isn't it? That Mark was controlling and possessive, and I left him because he was tracking my every move. That's what she told us. Yes. The truth is, I left Mark because I caught him cheating on me. With your sister. The room started spinning a little. Chloe wasn't the victim in our divorce, Emma. She was the other woman. She'd been sleeping with my husband for months before I found out. And when I confronted her, she told me that Mark had never really loved me anyway, that I was just convenient until someone better came along. I felt sick again. But that's not even the worst part, Sarah continued. After I left Mark, he didn't end up with Chloe like she expected. He was devastated about losing me in our marriage. So you know what Chloe did? I was afraid to ask. She convinced him to marry her anyway. She told him I was probably seeing someone else, that I'd never take him back, that she was his only chance at happiness. She basically manipulated a heartbroken man into marrying her on the rebound. Then why did they get divorced? Because Mark figured out what she really was. He realized she didn't actually love him. She just couldn't stand the idea of not winning. Once she had him, she got bored. She started treating him terribly, picking fights, withholding affection. She wanted him to be the one to end the marriage so she could play the victim again. Sarah reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. I have text messages, Emma. Messages between Chloe and Mark during their marriage where she talks about you and Jake. She was already planning this before she and Mark were even divorced. She showed me the screen. June 2022, while Chloe was still married to Mark. Chloe: Emma's husband is exactly my type. Mark: you're married to me. I know that. I'm just saying Emma always gets the good ones. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Forget it. August 2022. I think Jake is getting tired of Emma's workaholic phase. How would you know? She complains about it all the time, says he feels neglected. Chloe, why are you so interested in Emma's marriage? I just think she takes him for granted. October 2022. I'm thinking about asking Emma if Jake wants to help me move some furniture when the divorce is final. We're not even separated yet, and you're already making plans? I'm just being practical. I'll need help, and Jake is so sweet and helpful. Stay away from Jake. I'm serious. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. Leave your sister's marriage alone. I looked up at Sarah. She was planning this for over a year. At least. Emma, I'm telling you this because I wish someone had warned me. Chloe doesn't just go after married men. She specifically goes after men who belong to women she's jealous of. It's not about love or attraction. It's about winning. Winning what? Everything you have that she wants. And from what I can tell, she's always wanted your life. Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from another unknown number. I hope you're happy. Jake realizes he made a mistake being with someone as bitter and jealous as you. We're moving away together after your dad's party. Try not to poison our child against us. I showed the message to Sarah. She read it and shook her head. She's lying. If Jake was really committed to being with her, why would they need to move away? Why wouldn't he just divorce you and stay here? She was right. If Jake was so sure about Chloe, why was he still calling me? Why was he talking about working things out? Sarah, can I ask you something? What made Mark finally see the truth about Chloe? His sister came to visit and saw how Chloe treated him. She pulled him aside and asked him if he was happy, really happy. And Mark realized he hadn't been happy in months. He said it was like he'd been living with a stranger who wore Chloe's face, but had a completely different personality. That hit me like a punch to the gut, because I realized that's exactly what had been happening to me and Jake. Chloe had been wearing the mask of the supportive sister while slowly poisoning my marriage from the inside. After Sarah left, I sat in my old bedroom and really thought about everything. The patterns, the lies, the manipulation. How many lives had Chloe destroyed? How many more would she destroy if someone didn't stop her? My phone rang. Jake again. This time I had something to say. Jake, we need to meet. In person, tonight. Really? Emma, yes, of course. Where do you want to meet? Our house, 7 o'clock. Come alone. Emma, I can't wait to see you. I've missed you so much. Jake? Yeah? Don't bring flowers. Don't bring apologies. Just bring the divorce papers. We're done. I hung up and called my lawyer. It was time to end this once and for all. I spent the rest of the afternoon getting ready for what I knew would be the hardest conversation of my life. I wasn't just ending my marriage. I was ending the version of myself that had been naive enough to trust the two people who were supposed to love me most. When I pulled into my driveway at 6:45, Jake's car was already there. The house looked exactly the same from the outside, but walking up to my own front door felt like approaching a stranger's home. I used my key and walked in. Jake was sitting on the couch, the same couch where I'd caught him with Chloe. He'd cleaned up a bit. The pizza boxes were gone, and he'd obviously showered and put on the blue button-down shirt I'd bought him for Christmas. Emma, he said, standing up quickly. You look beautiful. I didn't feel beautiful. I felt tired and sad and about 4 months older than I had 2 weeks ago. But I also felt something I hadn't expected. Strong. Where are the papers, Jake? Can we talk first? Please? I know I messed up, but Emma, we're having a baby. That has to mean something. I sat down in the chair across from him, not on the couch. I couldn't sit on that couch, probably ever again. It means we need to figure out custody arrangements, I said simply. That's all it means. His face crumpled. Emma, please. I know you hate me right now, and you have every right to. But I love you. I've always loved you. No, Jake, you loved the idea of me. You loved having a wife who made your life comfortable and easy. But when things got a little routine, a little predictable, you went looking for excitement somewhere else. That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time you asked me about my job, about my dreams, about anything that mattered to me? He opened his mouth to answer, then closed it again. You know what the saddest part is? I continued. I was actually happy. I thought we had a good marriage. I thought we were building something together. But you were just going through the motions until someone more interesting came along. Chloe isn't more interesting. She's... He stopped. She's what, Jake? She's a lot of work, actually. She's needy and dramatic, and she gets jealous if I even mention your name. Yesterday, she threw a fit because I kept one of our wedding photos on my desk at work. I almost laughed. Almost. And you're surprised by this? I thought she was different. I thought she understood me. She understood that you were unhappy, and she took advantage of that. That's what she does, Jake. She finds weak spots, and she exploits them. We sat in silence for a minute. I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen, the same refrigerator we'd picked out together at Home Depot, arguing about whether we needed the ice maker. Where is she now? I asked. At the apartment. She's not handling this well. This? You being pregnant. Me wanting to fix things with you. She thought the baby would make me run scared, but it's done the opposite. Emma, I want to be a family. The three of us. Now I did laugh, but it wasn't a happy sound. Jake, do you honestly think I would raise my child in the same house as the woman who destroyed my marriage? Do you think I'm going to play happy family with my sister who spent months lying to my face? We could make it work. People get past affairs all the time. People get past affairs with strangers, Jake. With coworkers or random people they meet at bars. They don't get past affairs with their own family members. The front door opened. We both turned, and there was Chloe, standing in my entryway like she still belonged here. She looked terrible. Her hair was unwashed, her makeup was smeared, and she was wearing the same clothes I'd seen her in 3 days ago. I knew you'd be here, she said, looking at Jake. I knew you'd come running back to her the second she played the baby card. Chloe, you can't be here, Jake said, standing up. Emma and I are trying to talk. About what? About how you're going to abandon me for your precious wife and your perfect little baby. I stayed sitting, watching this play out. It was almost fascinating, seeing her completely unhinged. I'm not abandoning you, Jake said, but his voice lacked conviction. I have responsibilities now. Responsibilities? Chloe's voice got shrill. What about your responsibility to me? What about everything you promised me? What did he promise you, Chloe? I asked quietly. She turned to look at me, and her eyes were wild. He promised me we'd be together. He promised me he'd leave you. He said I was the love of his life. And now? Now he's being manipulated by a woman who got herself knocked up to trap him. I didn't get myself knocked up, Chloe. Jake and I were trying to have a baby for months. You know this because you were there, pretending to be excited for us while you were sleeping with my husband. I wasn't pretending anything. I was trying to be supportive while watching you take for granted the most amazing man I've ever met. There it was. The truth she probably hadn't even admitted to herself. You don't love Jake, I said, standing up slowly. You never did. You just couldn't stand that I had something you wanted. You couldn't stand that I was happy. That's not true. It is true. And you know what the really sad part is? You destroyed a marriage and a family, and you don't even want what you fought so hard to get. You just wanted to win. Chloe looked back and forth between Jake and me, and I could see her calculating, trying to figure out how to regain control of the situation. Jake, she said, her voice softer now. Jake, you love me. You told me you loved me. We can still be together. We can move away from here, start fresh somewhere new. Jake looked at her, then at me, then back at her. And for the first time since this whole nightmare started, I felt sorry for him. He looked lost and confused and like he had no idea how he'd gotten himself into this mess. Chloe, he said quietly, I think I made a mistake. What kind of mistake? All of it. The affair, leaving Emma, thinking I was in love with you. I was bored and you made me feel exciting again, but that's not love. That's just, I don't know what that is. Chloe's face went through about 5 different expressions before settling on pure rage. You're choosing her? After everything? After I gave up everything for you? What did you give up, Chloe? Jake asked. You were already getting divorced. You didn't have a job. You didn't have anything to give up. I gave up my family. I gave up my relationship with my sister. No, I said, standing up. You threw away your relationship with me the day you decided my husband was more important than our bond. You made that choice. Not me, not Jake, you. She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in her expression. The anger was still there, but underneath it was something else. Something that looked almost like grief. You have everything, she said quietly. You've always had everything. The perfect grades, the perfect job, the perfect husband, mom and dad's approval. Everything I ever wanted, you got first and you got it easier. That's not true. And even if it were, it doesn't give you the right to destroy my life. I wasn't trying to destroy your life. I was just trying to have something that was mine, something that chose me over you for once. And there it was, the sad, pathetic truth at the center of all this destruction. Chloe, you could have had your own life, your own husband, your own family, your own happiness. But instead, you wanted mine. And now, none of us can have it. She looked around the living room, at the photos of Jake and me, at the furniture we'd picked out together, at the life she'd helped destroy. And I saw the moment she realized it was really over. This isn't how it was supposed to end, she said, more to herself than to us. How was it supposed to end, I asked. She didn't answer. She just looked at Jake one more time, like she was memorizing his face, and walked out the door. Jake and I stood there in the silence she left behind. Emma? He said finally. I am so sorry. I don't know how to fix this. You can't fix it, Jake. That's the point. Some things can't be fixed. So what happens now? I thought about the baby growing inside me, about the life I'd have to build as a single mother, about explaining to our child someday why mommy and daddy weren't together and why they'd never met their Aunt Chloe. Now we figure out how to be good parents even though we couldn't figure out how to be good spouses. Can you ever forgive me? I looked at him. Really looked at him. For the first time since I'd caught him with Chloe. He looked older, tired, like the weight of what he'd done was finally sinking in. I don't know, I said honestly. Ask me again in a year. He nodded and walked toward the door. Then he turned back. For what it's worth, you're right. She never loved me. And I don't think I loved her either. I think I just loved the idea of being someone different than who I really am. Who are you really, Jake? I'm a guy who had everything he ever wanted and was too stupid to appreciate it until it was gone. After he left, I walked through the house one more time. I touched the kitchen counter where we'd eaten breakfast together for 2 years. I looked at the bedroom where we'd planned our future and whispered about baby names. I stood in the doorway of what would have been the nursery. This house held the ghost of the life I thought I was going to have, but it also held the possibility of a different life. A harder life, maybe, but an honest one. I packed a few more things and drove back to my parents' house, where Mom was waiting with dinner and Dad was putting together a crib he'd bought that afternoon. 3 months later, Jake and I were officially divorced. He moved to another state for a job opportunity, or maybe to get away from the mess he'd made here. He sends child support and calls every week to check on the baby. Chloe never came to Dad's birthday party. She moved away too, somewhere down south. Mom gets Christmas cards from her, but they're always just signed Chloe with no personal message. My daughter was born on a Tuesday in November. She has Jake's eyes and my stubborn chin. When she smiles, she looks nothing like either of us, and I'm grateful for that. She gets to be her own person, not haunted by the ghosts of her parents' mistakes. Sometimes people ask me if I'm angry, if I hate Jake or Chloe, or if I regret how everything turned out. The truth is, I'm not angry anymore. I'm sad sometimes, especially when I think about the sister I thought I had and the marriage I thought was solid. But I'm not angry, because if none of this had happened, I wouldn't have my daughter. I wouldn't have learned that I'm stronger than I ever imagined. I wouldn't have discovered that I can build a life worth living even after everything I thought I wanted gets taken away. and I wouldn't have learned the most important lesson of all. That the people who truly love you don't see you as competition. They see you as family. So Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to be my sister's maid of honor? She's getting married next month to some guy she met online. The save the date came with a note. I hope enough time has passed that we can be sisters again. I'd love for you to stand beside me on the most important day of my life. I sent back a simple response. Congratulations on your engagement. I won't be able to attend, but I wish you well. Some people think I'm being petty, that I should forgive and forget, especially since Jake and I are both happier now. But here's the thing. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to let people back into your life to hurt you again. And being family doesn't mean you get unlimited chances to destroy that family. I have a beautiful daughter, a career I love, and a life I built from the ground up after it all fell apart. I have peace, and sometimes peace is worth more than reconciliation. Update. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. A lot of you asked what happened to Jake and Chloe's relationship. From what I heard through mutual friends, they broke up about 2 weeks after our divorce was finalized. Apparently, once the thrill of the forbidden affair wore off, they realized they had nothing in common. Jake tried to get back together with me, but by then, I was already moving on. He's married to someone else now and seems happy. As for Chloe, I heard she went through a few more relationships that followed a similar pattern. I don't keep tabs on her anymore, but I hope she eventually found whatever it was she was really looking for. My daughter is 2 now, and she's the light of my life. We're doing just fine on our own. The end.
Wow, what an absolutely wild ride that was. Emma's story really shows how family betrayal can cut deeper than any other kind of hurt. I mean, your own sister and your husband. That's the kind of betrayal that changes you forever. But here's what I want to know. What would you do if you were in Emma's shoes? Would you have given Jake another chance when you found out about the baby? Some people think that becoming parents changes everything, that it's worth trying to rebuild trust for the sake of the child. And what about Chloe? Could you ever forgive a sister who destroyed your marriage? Emma chose to cut her out completely, even years later when Chloe wanted her to be maid of honor. Was that the right call, or was it too harsh? I've got to say, I think Emma made the tough but smart choice. Sometimes protecting your peace is more important than keeping toxic people in your life, even when they're family. But I know some of you might see it differently. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Team Emma or Team Second Chances? Did she handle this the right way, or would you have done something completely different? And hey, if you enjoyed this crazy story of family drama and betrayal, smash that like button and hit subscribe for more unbelievable Reddit stories just like this one. Trust me, we've got plenty more jaw-dropping tales coming your way. Until next time, keep those family secrets coming, and I'll see you in the next video.